You had a connected weekend, maybe a real conversation where things finally felt close. And then they pulled away. They got quiet, needed space, maybe even picked a fight over something that made no sense. And now you're spiraling, wondering what you did wrong, wondering if the closeness scared them off, wondering why every time you get close, this happens. If you're with an avoidant partner, this pattern probably isn't new. But understanding what's actually driving it might change how you respond. The timing is almost predictable. Things get intimate, emotionally or physically, and within hours or days, they start creating distance. You notice they're a little shorter in their texts, a little less affectionate, suddenly busy with things that didn't seem urgent before, or they find something to criticize, something small that wouldn't normally be an issue, but now it's enough to create friction between you. And your nervous system notices immediately. You feel the shift before you can even name it. So you reach, you ask if they're okay, you try to reconnect, you look for reassurance that the closeness was real. But reaching doesn't bring them back, it actually pushes them further. And now you're caught in the loop, where the more you pursue, the more they withdraw, and the more they withdraw, the more you pursue. You both end up feeling unseen and exhausted. What's happening on their end isn't rejection, even though it feels that way. It's deactivation. When intimacy crosses a certain threshold, their system flags it as danger, not consciously but automatically. And pulling away is how they regulate back to baseline. This isn't about you being too much, it's about closeness itself feeling like too much. Somewhere in their history, depending on someone came with a cost, whether that was disappointment, engulfment, or loss of self, and so their nervous system learned to pump the brakes when things get too close. The cruel part is that the moment after connection is usually when they're most likely to withdraw, not because the connection wasn't real, but because it was. Real intimacy is exactly what triggers the deactivation. So you're left confused because you felt how real it was, and they're pulling away precisely because they felt it too. When they pull away, your attachment system fires and you feel the threat of disconnection, so everything in you wants to close the gap. You reach out, ask questions, seek reassurance, maybe get a little intense about it. But to a deactivating nervous system, that pursuit registers as pressure, and it confirms their fear that closeness leads to being overwhelmed. Your reaching is an attempt to feel safe, and their withdrawal is an attempt to feel safe, and without meaning to, you're each triggering the other's deepest fears. That's the trap, and it keeps spinning until one of you does something different. If you're navigating this dynamic, we make videos to help you understand what's actually happening underneath the patterns. Subscribe if that's useful. We post new ones every week. The instinct is to chase, to fix the distance immediately, but that usually backfires. What actually helps is learning to tolerate the gap without filling it with panic. When they pull back, you don't have to match their distance, but you also don't have to close it right away. You can stay present without pursuing. That might sound like giving them what they want while ignoring what you need. But it's not about abandoning your needs. It's about regulating yourself first so you can express them without urgency. There's a difference between saying, "I'd love to connect when you're ready," from a grounded place, and asking, "Are we okay? What's wrong? Why are you being distant?" from an activated one. They can feel the difference, and so can you. When you're not chasing, you're also giving yourself a chance to check in with what you actually need. Sometimes underneath the urge to pursue is your own anxiety asking to be soothed, not a genuine need for connection in that moment. And when things are calm, when neither of you is activated, that's when you can talk about the pattern itself. Not as a complaint, as something you're both caught in, something you want to navigate together. That conversation lands differently when it's not happening in the middle of the cycle. Their withdrawal doesn't mean they don't love you. It means their capacity for closeness has a limit, and when that limit gets hit, they need to regulate. That's not a statement about your worth, it's a statement about their window of tolerance in that moment. You're not too much and they're not broken. You're two people with different nervous systems trying to find a rhythm that works for both of you. And that's not a failure. That's the actual work of being in a relationship. If you want to go deeper on this, we have a guide specifically for people in relationships with avoidant partners. It covers the communication patterns that trigger withdrawal, how to create safety without losing yourself, and how to have the hard conversations without activating the cycle. Links in the description. This dynamic is exhausting, but it's also workable if you understand what's actually happening underneath it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.